Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Situational Awareness, where I go through videos and go over different situations that may arise and help you become more alert as motorcycle riders. If you're a new rider, this really helps get your bearings on what to expect while you're out there in the real world riding around, how to handle different situations, and it also is a good refresher for other riders. Now, today's video, unlike the previous ones I've done in this series, is actually a video from one of my rides, and I did a few things I shouldn't have for educational purposes, and I did a few things to point out what you should do. I have several segments of this video I did for instruction, so I am going to do this through the next couple weeks of different parts of this ride, and hopefully we can find some things that are educational for you. So why don't we go ahead, dive in, and get started. Now, today's video is going to be with my GoPro 360 software, so that way I can actually move around and show you different things. There's me, say hi. Well, let's go ahead and get started in this video, and I'm just going to start by pointing out where I am in the road. I'm in the middle. Now, a lot of people ride over here, and they ride over here because they say all the oil is in the middle. This is true. Oil drips in the middle, but it's really not that much, except at maybe stops. And when the rain comes, most of it goes away and it doesn't impact your traction. What's nice about riding in the middle is you have escape paths. So if something were to happen in front of me, I would have different ways to go. Where if I'm riding on one side, I can't go over here because there might be a car coming. And I'd have to leap all the way over here to get away. So that is why I'm riding in the middle. Now, if I were behind this car, directly behind this car, I would actually ride in either the left or the right, and that's so I could see ahead, which we will see in other parts of this video. Let's go ahead and play. Now, there isn't much to see here, and I'll skip through most of the boring stuff, but you have to watch out for cars coming, because if they're distracted, they might veer into your lane. Another nice thing about being here in the middle, I can shoot to the right if someone starts coming in my lane. If I'm over here, I can actually move to the middle. So if I am behind this car, it does give me an option to get away. But just keep an eye out for the oncoming drivers. Okay, so right here, I stopped at this intersection. Across from me is a parking lot. I'm behind this car, and of course there's traffic going this way, and there's traffic going this way. Now, what's the problem with me behind this car? Give you a second to think about it. By the way, I am a lot closer than this video looks. I'm about here, and that's because of the way the camera changes the picture. Okay, so the problem is I'm in the middle. If somebody comes up behind me, and you can't really tell in my mirrors, but I'm always looking in my mirrors to see if anybody's coming behind me. But if somebody is coming up behind me, you're going to have a problem if they hit you or if they're about to hit you. So if they hit you, you're going to go straight into this car and be a sandwich. And if you want to avoid them, you're going to have to actually do a swerve and get out of the way. So it's actually better when you stop behind a car to be on either the left or the right. Typically, I prefer the right because you don't have to worry about people coming and turning in this way. People cut turns all the time. Granted, this car is sticking out so far they'd take off their front end. But if you're sitting to the right, and someone's flying up, first of all, if you're all the way over here, chances are they aren't going to hit you. They're going to hit this car. But if it looks like they might hit you, you have an escape. You can shoot up forward and get out of there. Being back behind this car, not a good situation. Okay, so situational awareness. First of all, as I had just said, always keep an eye behind you. What's coming up behind you? Cars turning from this left turn lane might cut in short. We're turning right, so we're going this way. But you still have to watch for these cars. This parking lot across the street, cars can be coming straight, they can be turning right, but they also might be turning left, and they might turn right into your path. So keep an eye on them. Now, of course, always look to the left to make sure you have enough time to get out of the way and up to speed before you pull out, but otherwise, this is a pretty straightforward intersection. Now, all these cross streets you always keep an eye out for. There's no cars here, so not really a situation, but always keep an eye out. This driveway could be a problem if a car is coming down, turning out, so keep an eye. Cover your brakes if you ever see a car in those spots. Gas stations, especially these like this on the side of the road where it's got a massive parking lot. This parking lot goes all the way over there. Cars come out at all different spots, and they go right and they go left. You got cars pulling out from the gas pumps where they just merge in and they might not see you. And of course, cars pulling directly in front of you perpendicular. So keep an eye out for any cars here. I, of course, have this one car pointed right at me, but he's not moving. I am far enough behind this car where I can ride in the center. I always prefer the center because of my extra escape path. But like I said, if I was closer, I'd want to be in the left or the right. But because I'm in the center, I am back further. I have this nice safety gap. Plenty of time to where I could stop right away. Now, one thing I want to point out here is that very bright object in the sky. So this is actually blinding to people coming at us. And what that means is it's harder for them to see you. So you must use extra caution when people are pulling out, because chances are they're going to be blinded. And as the sun goes lower in the sky, it's going to be even worse. Okay, so we are coming up to an intersection, and this is actually quite a busy intersection. So you want to start covering your brakes, which you can't really tell on the camera, but my fingers are out there. My two fingers are covering the brake right here. You can kind of see them through the windscreen. And you need to keep an eye out for all the things that are happening at this intersection. You have people coming out from this parking lot. You have people coming out this way. You will have people turning left, and most of the times they cut the corner here. You have people turning right, and sometimes they come over the line. You have people who are going straight and then all of a sudden shoot left, or shoot right. If you're going to the right, we're going to the left. So keep an eye out on all those things. Right now, we don't have too much going on here, which is good. Bad for the video. Now, did you see what I did there? Go back just a little bit. See how I move over to the right? The reason for this is because of people coming in this way. They always cut this corner. So I purposely put myself here to the right. People should not hit me as they're coming up here. Since there's no one in front of me, my escape path is straight ahead. But that is why I moved over here to the right, because people who cut this corner, and big rigs come around this turn all the time, although surprisingly they handle the turn a lot better than some cars. Now always be mindful of your mirrors. I already said this once, I'm going to say it again. Watch for the cars coming up behind you. Always keep your clutch in. Do not put your bike in neutral. Your bike should never be in neutral on the road. You need to be able to get out of there quickly. If you're in neutral, you're going to have to grab your clutch in, pop it in gear, and start moving rather than just pop the clutch and get out of there. This guy is sitting here, obviously wanting to turn right. So watch that he does not move in the path. Keep an eye on his wheel. See if it starts moving, and just be careful. Even though I have a green arrow, it just changed. You want to keep an eye out for these cars in case one of them doesn't stop. Same with this side. Keep an eye out. Any cars that might be flying, they could very well hit you. Make sure that they are stopping. Look as you go through. Just because you have a green, it does not mean go. It means look, then go. Now, these areas are all pretty crazy when there's a bunch of traffic. You have people in the turn lane turning left, they're turning right, something like that. You have people coming out of all these businesses. Always keep an eye on all the cars. Always watch the wheels. Be situationally aware. Also, keep glancing at your rear view mirrors. See what's behind you. This will tell you what you can do. If somebody is riding your butt, you aren't going to be able to slam on your brakes and slow down. And you should never slam. Progressive braking, apply pressure, more pressure to the front brake. Slow down as quickly as possible. You start the process with your rear brake or just by letting the throttle out, which will shift the weight to the front wheel. You don't want to really use your rear brake when you're shifting all that weight to the front because all the weight's off the back and then you'll end up locking up the rear. So don't do that. Progressive braking on the front and apply as much pressure as possible. But if there is a guy right up your butt, that might not be possible. You might have to very well go ahead and go on the shoulder, but be careful of the shoulder. There is a lot of debris there. So you might not be able to hit the brake as much, but if somebody's pulling out right in front of you, you'd be able to come over here and not hit them. But that way the guy behind you doesn't nail you. Now, I know I keep saying I ride in the middle. You see all this oil. For the most part, that's just stain. The oil is mostly gone. Your tires still have traction. Now, if it starts raining, you want to avoid the middle, especially the first half hour. But just keep an eye out for all these busy intersections. Keep the eye on the tires of the cars. Make sure the people in the middle don't all of a sudden shoot back over. Of course, some people don't even use the middle turn lane properly. They use it as a merge lane. Watch for pedestrians, cars coming out of the shopping lot. Another intersection coming up, so make sure you're covering your brake. Now see how I'm in the left lane here? Or the left of my lane? Bike lanes, there's 3 lanes. 1, 2, 3. I'm in the left, or left-ish, so I'm over here, because I can see all the way up here. It gives me plenty of line of sight. I'm also not following this truck too closely for a couple reasons. One, it's a dump truck. They always drop their load, just pieces, gravel and stuff. So I'm staying back a bit. 2, it gives me my safety cushion to stop or take evasive action if necessary. Also in this position, I have places to go. You might see my bike wandering back and forth. There were a lot of crosswinds today. Matter of fact, we had a red flag warning for fires, very dry air, and the wind was just, the gusts were all over the place. And they were catching my bike like a sail. I had my top box and panniers on. I'm back here. Okay, so one thing I want to point out here, school buses. This is not a divided highway. If this bus had its red lights on, I would have to stop. Okay, and that's, I'm pretty sure, 50 state law. Even though you have the center turn lane, it is not a divided highway. There is no barrier in between. You must have a barrier of some sort. Grass, wall, doesn't matter, a barrier. This is not a highway. This is a rural road, and if the bus's red lights are on, you must stop. Even if this was 2 lanes, you have to stop. The problem is, a lot of people don't. Either they don't know the law, or they don't care, and have no respect for children's lives. So if the red lights are on, and you're going to stop because you are a smart and safe rider who obeys the law, with the exception of speed on occasion, you're going to stop. But the problem is, are the people behind you going to stop? So keep a clear eye on your rearview mirrors. Make sure that no one is flying up and going to ram you. Make sure you have your escape path planned out if they were to do so. Chances are, if they're flying up behind you and don't realize it, they're going to shoot left unless they see a kid. Then they might shoot right. But 9 times out of 10, they're going to end up taking this center lane. So be prepared to go to the right. But unfortunately, that's one of those cases where you're kind of guessing your escape path. You don't know if that car behind you is going to change lanes. The best thing you can do is just change lanes on your own and pray. There's not much more you can do. If they end up changing in the same direction, it's just fate, unfortunately. But be prepared. People don't stop. And it sickens me that they don't stop for school buses, but it is what it is. Okay, I'm gonna go and play this again. I want you to look at these cars coming up and how fast they're flying up. I mean, that's pretty quick considering they have to hit the brake. And the reason they do that is because they quickly glance to the right and they glance to the left. And if they don't see anything, they just go. And the problem is, if you're on a motorcycle, unless they ride, most likely they won't see you. And that is, Dan the Fireman says it best, unintentional blindness. By the way, if you haven't seen Dan the Fireman's channel, please go do that. He does videos like this He's been doing it for years, and I mean, he does like MotoStar reviews like I did in my last ones and stuff, but he goes through the whole thing. Me, I go through these particular situations and I try to pinpoint them rather than view all the accidents and everything. But great channel, definitely go over there, go support him. But yeah, his phrase, unintentional blindness. And there's a reason why he uses that phrase. Your brain does not process everything in front of it. It basically takes snapshots, and part of the image is filled in, I guess you could say, when you're taking glances, which is why they always say, look extra good for motorcycles, take your time looking, and look twice, because your brain fills in these spots of the image, and they're blind spots unintentionally because they aren't familiar with the motorcycles, especially at the beginning of the season. They're just starting to come back out again, and their brain just fills in these spots. And you're so narrow on a motorcycle that you get blipped out. So it becomes unintentional blindness. They literally do not see you, even if they look right at you. It's not entirely their fault. They're supposed to spend more time looking so that the images fill in properly, but they don't. So these cars flew up at this intersection so quickly, and their plan was glance right, glance left, go. Now, in this case, they ended up stopping, surprisingly, but you're going to keep an eye on their wheel, okay? You're going to keep an eye on this front wheel right here. And if you start seeing it rotate, they are coming out. Hopefully, they're just creeping forward, but they could be coming right into your path. Doesn't matter if they're going left or if they're going right. Now, I don't know if this guy saw in front of the dump truck, the big truck coming, so he stopped, or if he did actually see me. I don't know. But he did actually stop, but he may not have. So be prepared, look at that front tire, and have your escape path ready. Now, this is where it becomes tricky. Typically, if he pulls out, say he started pulling out, back of his car is here, front of his car is here, okay? Your exit path is behind him. He's not gonna back up. He could stop in the middle of the road, but you don't wanna go this way because he might keep going. So you wanna go behind him. In this situation where he is right now, you're thinking your escape path's over here, but if he guns it, he could hit you. And you're thinking, well, okay, maybe my escape path's over here. Not necessarily. He might start going and just stop right here. So brakes, progressive brake pressure, slow down as much as you can and be prepared. But if he's not moving, you can be a little more relaxed, but you want to be ready in case he does end up going. So this startled me. You know, this got my heart. It jumped when I saw these two people fly up, but that's because I didn't know if they were going to go or not. They ended up stopping, thank goodness. Oh, let's back it up real quick. Okay, we have this big rig here. It's the same situation, but he is going to look extra long because he is going to take a lot longer to pull out. But if you're flying at 100 miles an hour down this road, he will not see you and he may start going. Now with a truck, your options are actually a little better because they don't just come out. They slowly creep out. And that's just because that they're heavy. And because of that, your exit path over here is far better. And if they start pulling out here, I mean, you're not getting around behind them. It doesn't matter. So exit path to the left with the big trucks. Okay, so that's it for this video. Next week I will continue and dive into this. Let me know what you think of this one. Maybe this wasn't your cup of tea, since it's not, say, a MotoStars or one of those compilations that lead to accidents. But I wanted to do something different here and give you a real life example of me riding, and I'm hoping to do it for a few more weeks. Again, this ride I did a couple things you should do and you shouldn't do so I could show you. This part of the video didn't particularly have much. Now, on that note, see if I can find it here. There. All right. Were any of you, when you first started riding, caught chicken wings? It's not really chicken wings. It's flapping your arms like a bird. I don't know. The idea is when you're a new rider, you get tense. Your arms just all of a sudden become these rigid objects, and you never want that on a motorcycle. It gives very bad feedback through the handlebars. You want your arms to always be loose. And I was taught when I was a young rider to do what they called chicken wings. And it's basically flapping your arms around to ensure they're always loose. Now that was 17 years ago. But I did it so much that it embedded itself, the concept embedded into my brain, and it actually became habit. So now when I ride, I do chicken wings. Where are they? Right there. Yep. The way my arms moved back and forth. I don't know if I can slow-mo that. See if I can slow-mo it. Okay, I'm about to do it. So what I did there, and I do this all the time too, you'll notice my hands get loose, and it's because I'm relaxing my hands. I always go and release the grips and then essentially palm them with my fingers off of the rest of the grip. And what that does is it helps make sure that I'm not strong gripping my grips. And that's how you end up with very sore hands after a long ride. That was another trick I was taught. And again, it's just habit now. I do it all the time, even though it's been 17 years. But the chicken wings, just flap your arms in and out just to make sure they're loose. And you'll know they're loose because there's no feedback going through the handle grips. And your arms stay loose, and it makes you relax a little bit. So if you're a new rider, I do strongly recommend the chicken wing or the arm flap, because it makes sure that your arms aren't rigid. And if you keep doing it through your riding, it'll keep checking you and you'll start getting more and more relaxed. It helped me immensely. And then over time, it actually becomes a habit, or at least it did for me, and you end up doing it the rest of your life. It's a great concept just to make sure you're not strong-arming the bike. And again, also keep relaxing your hands and making sure you aren't gripping too tight. If your hands are sore after a ride, you are either gripping too tight or you have improperly sized gloves. If they're too small, your hands will get sore. There is the third, which is you have brand new gloves, which take a while to break in. But if you're a new rider, chances are you're gripping too tight. So try to keep a loose grip, make sure your arms are loose, stay safe out there, and keep the rubber side down. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I will try and answer everyone's questions as soon as possible. If there's anything you would like to see, any tips, tricks, techniques, anything at all motorcycle related, please let me know. I do these videos for you, so anything that you would like to see, I am more than happy to do it. If you like this video, please click that thumbs up button. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and click the bell to notify you whenever a new video drops. Thank you again. Ride safe and keep the rubber side down.